Hello everybody and welcome to today's Friday live Q&A. It is Friday the 10th of May and it is just after 12:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I've come on board a little bit earlier today just because I've got a really busy afternoon, and I also want to make sure that I start doing these a little earlier. So next week, I will officially start my live an hour and a half earlier, but I'll make a more of an announcement about that so that you know. But so I am a little bit earlier than I said, but I've also got to get to a client session in about half an hour. So I wanted to make sure I jumped in and chatted with you guys. And as you can see, I am in my new office, which is very exciting. I moved in today. This has been. I'll have to find a way to. I'll try and work that out next week, where I can kind of show you around. But I've built an office, like an office pod in my back garden. I started building it in February. So anyway, it's now finished and I'm in, and I'm very, very excited. So I can see my clients here in person. Whoever wants to catch up with me in person, there's room for that. And I'm now working in this space that's totally dedicated to me and what I do. And so I'm going to be very protective of the energy of this space and how it works and what happens in this space. So this is going to be a very sacred, and it is already a very sacred space of creation, generation, connection, all sorts of things. So I'm really excited to have a space that is completely dedicated to my work, to what I want to bring to the world, and all of those sorts of things. So no one will be coming in here unless they've got the right energy. And when I say no one, I'm not really talking about clients. I'm talking more about family members, friends, whatever. It's like, this is, it's just amazing to be here. I have to say, I'm really excited. It's an idea that I've had for a very long time, and to watch it come to life, and it is beautiful. It's really beautiful. The front side, which you can't see here, is all glass with big sliding doors, and then another window which looks out into my garden and up towards the house. It's got a lovely little deck around it. So it's this lovely space that I have now that is totally mine. I'm very, very excited about that. I've got all these things I want to create this year, and I've kind of been holding off a little bit because I'm like, I want to be in my space to create them. So this is my first Friday live from here. I haven't got art on the walls yet or anything, so you'll see some different things when I'm here next time. But if you're wondering why my background looks different, it is because I'm in my new office space, which I have just finished building. So I'm very, very excited about that. Hello, Jane. Hi. Thanks for saying hi from Methven in New Zealand. Okay, Methven. I haven't heard that one before. So welcome, Jane. Great to have you here. Anyone else who wants to say hi, please do so. Let me know where you're listening from in the world. Like I said, I will be here earlier next week. I'm going to start these an hour and a half earlier, so 11 a.m. my time. So it'll be a bit earlier for you guys in the US and Canada, because it's a little bit late there, I know. But I want to be able to catch you at a bit of an earlier time. So with daylight savings, us Australia leaving daylight savings and you going into daylight savings, the time zone is probably the biggest it is at the moment. Hi, Laurie. Thank you for saying hi from California. Hey, nice to have you here, Laurie. Hi, Sandy. It is so exciting, Sandy. Thank you. I am so excited. This has been 14 years in the making. So I'm very, very excited to have my own dedicated space. And for those of you who don't know, I've got this beautiful friend, dear friend, who's an artist who's very unwell. His name's Anthony Breslin. I love you, Anthony. And a very, very well-known artist in Australia. And he does these incredible, his art is extraordinary. You should Google him, Anthony Breslin. His art is amazing. But he's very well known for creating bugs and frogs, which I know sounds funny, but his last ever frog that he created, he actually gave to me as a gift. And they're worth quite a bit of money, and they're very sacred, special things. So I'm blown away. I was blown away by that. I'll show it to you. I'll have it on my wall next time. I just haven't had a chance to, but this is Anthony's frog. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it just, there's so much about this and so much about Anthony. I love Anthony. I did a podcast episode with Anthony, which you can find by Googling my podcast Relatable, a podcast episode with him. I think it was last year or the year before. So that will be on my wall at some point. This very special, sacred, this is very special and beautiful. This frog from Anthony that he gave to me. I feel very blessed and lucky to have one of these. I really do. Especially as he won't be making them anymore. Like, he's very unwell. Anthony is very, very unwell. So, oh, hang on, Jane. I didn't mean to put that on there. How did that happen? Sorry. Thanks, Jane. I appreciate. I know, isn't it amazing? It's really cool. It's really, really cool. So, I'll have a few things up around once I have this sorted. I might take you on a little tour of my office space next week. And I've got, my sisters gave me this beautiful crystal. It's a rose quartz. Very good for heart space, and for opening your heart space, protecting and as well as opening your heart space. So I've got a couple of little beautiful things here. So yes, I'm very, very excited. Thank you, Sandy. That is, the frog is incredible. I feel very, very blessed. So anyway, sorry, enough about me. This is about you guys and, seeing what questions I can answer, how I can be of service to you, and see where I can make a difference in your life. So if you do have a question you would like me to answer, please post it in the comments below, and I'll take a very quick look at the questions that have been sent in for today. Okay, 1 second. All right, I'm going to look at this. Hang on, my internet's a little slower here because I haven't got that properly connected up. So it's in my back garden at the moment. Okay, just looking at the question for today. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. All right, so now I had this question come in quite recently, actually, and there's a couple of questions around the same vein. So I'm going to kind of answer these just so I can catch up on a little bit of backlog of questions here. So I'm going to answer these all in one. So if you've sent a question that's maybe not the exact one to this, but it's around the same vein, then that's the answer to your question. All right. So this question just came in a couple of days ago, actually. So it says, "Hi, Fiona. I've heard you say that it can be really helpful to ask our partner, what is it that we want to create here? Recently, you said something about what feelings do we want to create. Can you please elaborate and tell us how we go about creating a feeling in our relationship? Do you mean something like eradicating negativity or something like that?" So that's the question. And I've had a few questions similar to that come through. So I just want to speak to that for a second because I think this is actually really important. Can you hold on 1 second, guys? 1 second. Sorry, everyone. I've got some workmen doing some stuff here and they're about to turn on their drop saw, which would have just drowned my voice out. So I just had to tell them to stop while I do this live. So my apologies for that. It's all happening. Hi, Joel. Thanks for saying hi. I can see you're on YouTube. Awesome. It's always nice to know there's someone from YouTube out there listening. So that's the question that I'll come back and just repeat that. So the question is, "Hi, Fiona. I have heard you say for us to ask our partner what do we want to create here. And recently you said, what feelings do you want to create? Can you please elaborate and tell us how we go about creating a feeling in our relationship? Do you mean something like eradicating negativity or something like that?" So I just want to speak to that for a minute because I kind of get questions in a similar vein to this coming through. Often when we talk about what we want to create, we are thinking about a thing or a situation, right? That's how we tend to think about terms in terms of what we want to create. We tend to think about in terms of a thing or a situation. So if you apply that to a relationship, You might say, okay, I want to create more connection, or I want to have better communication, or I want to have more fun, or I want to have a greater sense of partnership. These are some of the things that people will come to me and say, this is what I want to do. I want to have more of that going on in my relationship, right? I want to make sure that we feel heard, that we have each other's back, etc. So we tend to think about these things in terms of what we want to create out there. Now, it's really important to understand that you can't create something out there unless you are first in the feeling of that creation. Does that make sense? You cannot create something out there unless you are first in the feeling of that creation. Without the feeling behind it, whatever it is you're trying to create will get absolutely no momentum. So it is the feeling we're in, the space we're coming from, that will generate that. If you don't have that sorted, and to me, this is a big mistake people make. Like they'll come to me and say, we've been working on our communication. Yes, but behind that is a whole lot of resentment, a lot of distrust, and people who haven't actually dealt with anything really. They're just trying to communicate better. It just doesn't work that way, because the feeling will then take over and dominate any of the actions that you are putting forward, right? Because it is the feeling that generates the action. Always. You're trying to generate an action when the feeling isn't there, it won't happen. And not only that, you will come across as inauthentic, as people will feel wary of you. They'll pick up on the fact that there's something that's not a match. So the space that you're coming from, or the feeling that you're in, is not a match for your words, your actions. And so when that happens, because we are energetic beings and we are communicating energetically before we are physically, when that happens, people become suspicious and wary. And then when people are suspicious and wary, they are not listening. They are not present. Their insecurities tend to lead the way. And so then you have things like resentment, communication breakdown, people feeling like it's all too hard, people, getting angry quickly, etc., etc. So your feeling has to come before anything else, and you cannot fake it. And this is also a big mistake that I see people making. People are faking it. So, they're saying things like, well, I was really angry about what happened, yesterday. I was really angry about that thing, but I didn't say anything. And, then I tried to have a conversation. But, if you're trying to, and I understand the intent is great. Like, that's fantastic. But the problem is you're seething, you're angry, and you're talking over the top of that feeling. It is just never going to get traction or legs. So there has to be, and this is very important, it actually changes everything when the feeling is a match. Okay, when the feeling is a match from what you are generating. So when I say, what feeling do you want to create? It is very, very important that you are in that feeling first and foremost, because your feeling generates your doing. Right? Now, this is something that is a huge blind spot for people. And so, a lot of people will come to me, they'll do my relatable program, or they'll start as a private client, and they'll say to me, Fiona, I've done a lot of work on myself, or I don't need to work on myself. I'm a pretty calm person. It's the other person. And then we'll start working together, and then they'll start to see that actually they're not as calm as they thought they were, or they haven't let go of that thing the way they thought they had, or they're not as open or present as they thought they were. And they'll start having a lot more awareness of how they're showing up. Now, this is when magic starts to happen, because a human being that's in a high level of awareness has far more choice over how they show up and what they generate and create than a human being who is in a low level of awareness. You cannot change what you can't see. Okay, and I don't mean to put anyone down when I talk about low level of awareness. That's not a judgment call at all. There are things that I have low level of awareness around, and there are things that I have a higher level of awareness around. But without awareness, we have no choice. And so we just blindly keep repeating or innocently making the same mistakes and not quite understanding why we're not getting anywhere and we're not getting any traction. Okay. And so it becomes very hard to generate the thing that you want to create in any type of relationship if you don't have a good sense of self and a good level of awareness. And really, I would say 100% of people, I know that's a big call, but 100% of people who come to me are missing that. And again, that's not a judgment call. I'm not making anyone wrong, or like I myself have had that experience many times where my awareness of myself and what I'm generating and how I'm showing up is way off where it actually is. And so it's very empowering when you can see that. Truly, I love the fact that I don't always get it right. I generally know when I'm off track from what I want to create, where the feeling I'm in, where the space I'm coming from is not a match for what I'm trying to generate. And the minute I know that, then I have the opportunity to correct, right? If I don't know that, then I keep innocently trying to do the same thing and wondering why I don't get any traction. So let's just say you're someone who comes from a lot of fear, and there are a lot of people who come from fear. Okay. And when we come from fear, we tend to catastrophize things. And so we're in the feeling of that. And then we're trying to connect from that place. You will get nowhere from there. Okay. You won't. You'll push the other person away, or the other person will be really wary of you. And you're not, there's a huge difference from someone who comes from a place of love, a strong sense of self and comfort in their own skin, versus someone who comes from a place of fear and is catastrophizing things and then trying to generate connection or partnership or communication or listening or all of those things, or playfulness. So there is immense, I cannot emphasize this enough, immense emotional freedom when you know exactly where you are, what you're generating, and how you're showing up. I cannot tell you what that does to your amount of mental load, because whether you know this or not, people are trying to figure stuff out all the time. And when you don't know that, you're kind of going, what's going on? Why are they not doing this? Is it me? Is it them? Is it what I just said or didn't say? Do I need to do this? Do I do? Like, we're constantly having this back and forth in our head. And so enormous amounts of mental load, which impact the feeling you're trying to create. So that clarity around where you are, what you're generating, and the feeling you're in is what will then create organically, very organically, because we're far more powerful than we realize, a very big change in the people around us. Okay, a very big change. And that is the best place to create some of those things that I was talking about when I first started speaking about, okay, if you want to create a greater sense of partnership with if you want to if you want communication or trust, you want to build on those things, or that you want there to be more playfulness and more goodwill, then it absolutely starts with what you're generating. Okay. And I say this with kindness and love to you all. I really do. But we are our own biggest blind spot, and people really don't have any idea of what they're generating. They really think they're generating one thing when they're generating another. And I would see this in 100% of people who work with me, either as a private client or a student in my Relatable program. Okay. They think they're generating one thing when they're actually generating another. So when you have that level of awareness, it is liberating. It's so liberating. And you see it as this gift. Like, I am so grateful. Some of you know my story, but when I came across this understanding, I don't know how many years, I lose track now, 14 odd years ago, something like that. I'd done a lot of self-development work. I'd done a lot of different programs. I'd always been really curious about people. I really thought I had a pretty high level of awareness of myself. I really did. Like, I thought I'd dealt with my stuff. I thought I was in a pretty good space mentally. I thought I was showing up pretty well. Like, I did. So, I speak from my own experience. And it was as I came across this understanding that I had some really big revelations about how arrogant I was being, how self-righteous I could be, how I wasn't actually putting things down as much as I thought I would. I was like all of those things. And I was grateful for that because I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. This is why we're having sticking points around this stuff. And it was so liberating. Like, to me, I'm very grateful I was given the gift of awareness. Awareness is this gift because it gives you the gift of choice. It gives you the gift of empowerment. You're not trying to work it out and throw mud at something and hope it sticks. It gives you this clarity where you go, oh, okay, I know at least what I need to do to change things, to generate what it is I want to generate. I know the space I need to be in, and I know the way I'm showing up. So this is key to whatever it is you want to create out there. Having a deep understanding of that and knowing exactly where you are is the key. I cannot tell you how much of a key it is. It's huge. It's like having the key to emotions, to navigating yours and somebody else's. It's the key to everything. So I really, if you're nervous about that kind of thing or looking in that direction, I just want you to know it is liberating when you have a deeper understanding of what you're generating and the choice that it then gives you, and the ability then to really understand where you are, which takes away all of that overthinking and mental load. So, as you've heard me talk about many times, when people are overthinking, and overthinking is such a massive problem, way more than people understand, because it takes away from our emotional bandwidth. There's less of us on offer. We are more likely to react with anger or withdrawal or whatever the things that we do. This is just so important. And there is a lightness of being when we are not drowning in mental load that again is a wonderful thing. So in answer to many of you who email me and say, Fiona, I want to create this thing, or I want to generate something with my partner, or even if it's not your partner, this applies to any relationship. I have people asking me this with their children. I have people asking me this with family members, with siblings. This applies to everything. The great thing about what I'm teaching you here is this is the principles of human beings. This is the principles, foundational principles or fundamental principles of being human, and you can apply them and take them anywhere and everywhere you go. Okay? So your own level of awareness is huge. And this is something that people have a very low level of awareness of. Nobody's fault. And that's simply because we're too busy looking out here, aren't we? And analyzing this person, analyzing this situation, analyzing everything out here, that we don't understand how to do that for ourselves. So it's very, very empowering when you do that. If you want to create a situation or change a dynamic in a relationship, you having awareness of what you're generating and the feeling you're in is everything, because the feeling generates the doing. Okay, actions come from how we feel. That's where actions come from. If I'm in an angry feeling, I'm going to behave in an angry way. It's just how it works, right? So if you don't know where you are, if you don't have any self-awareness, or it's just not a muscle that you've never built or looked at or understood, then this is key. This is the answer to that age-old statement that many teachers and spiritual teachers and whatever will say, look within. Most of us go, okay, I'm looking within. What am I looking for? I don't understand that, right? So understanding of that's the answer to that. Understanding the space you're in, feeling you're in, what you're generating, how you're showing up is everything. And then from there, you have this incredible capacity to generate and create all sorts of things, situations, connections, understandings with the people around you. Anyway, everybody, I can't be on live as long today because I've just got one of those days, but I just wanted to at least jump in, answer that, because I think that would be... Hey, Christy, thank you for saying hi. Yes, it is. Awareness is key. Hey, Min, thanks for saying hi, darling. Now, remember, I'm live here every Friday. I'm going to be starting doing them, my lives much earlier from next Friday on. So if you do have a question you want me to answer, you can send an email to hello@fionalukeis.com.au and I'll answer it for you live, or you can post it in the comments below and I'll answer it for you that way. If you want to know about my wonderful, amazing program, Relatable, which is where I teach all this stuff step by step, Relatable is incredible. I cannot tell you how special that program is and the magic that we create on our live calls. And like, it's amazing. It's I just love my Relatable students and the community. It's very special. There's all of the things that I'm talking about, I all cover it in Relatable. Yep, Christy's in Relatable. So yes, I cover it in that program. I'm telling you, it is just so special. It helps you with the overthinking, what you're generating, understanding yourself, understanding others, takes all the guesswork out of everything. You want to get rid of that mental load, that lightness of being, all of those things that I talk about every week. This is what we cover in Relatable. So I've put a link there. You can book a chat with me if you want to know more about it. Otherwise, take care, everyone, and I will see you next Friday. Have a great weekend. Ciao.